So welcome to Path of a Plumber. I am here with Leslie and Brent Harpole with Champion Plumbing. How are you guys doing today?
Good. Yourself?
Good.
Good. So we talked the other day, Leslie, and you kind of gave me the background on how you guys got to where you guys are today. Could you kind of just fill in the audience and give that backstory and how you guys got to be Champion Plumbing now?
You want me to? You want to do it?
Sure.
Okay. Only because I spoke with you yesterday, right?
Yeah.
So we started out in new construction and lost our ass. And Brent came to me at one point and he was exhausted, worn out mentally, physically. And we were like, we had to make a change. And at that time, we came across a coach on Facebook who we can't say enough about. And we signed up with them.
And changed directions completely.
Yeah.
Went from new construction to service, listened to our mentors, pulled all the right strings, made the right turns, and now we're sitting here today.
Yeah. And what do you think has been the biggest difference of going from new construction to, I'm assuming, service, more like a residential service business model?
For as far as the plumbing goes, I mean, in new construction, it's about dirt, grunt, long hours, hard work, get it done fast. And the biggest change is now you are walking into people's homes. You are not doing plumbing anymore. You are providing a service.
You're making a connection.
And and I know you've probably heard it before, but in service plumbing, it's very little about plumbing. It's about service. It's about taking care of this customer in a way that they expect to be taken care of. I mean, the same way you expect to, be taken care of at a restaurant or a hotel or anywhere else you go. Yeah. This is the same thing. It's just we provide a different service.
You're not selling parts, you're selling service.
Yeah. And was that hard for you coming from a new construction background to become a service plumber and kind of think in that term?
Yes, because it's different. But for me personally, no, in that.
That is not.
I have no problem. I can walk into anybody's home and make a friend.
Listen, this guy, you could not have told him he was ever going to be a service plumber.
No, when I was doing new construction, no way.
He would come home from the part house and he would talk about these service plumbers. You were not telling him anything. He was never going to be a service plumber.
That's the truth. I thought, and that's in the industry, that's really kind of true. Most new construction guys hate service, and most service guys, once they've gotten into it and learn it, wouldn't ever go back to, they'll never do new construction, hate it. It's way too much work for way too little money.
Yeah. And so you guys kind of had to rebrand and almost kind of start over and kind of relaunch yourselves in the market, essentially, right?
Totally. So, at the advice of our coaches, when we decided to go into service, we just overhauled everything. And we had to really think about what we wanted our name to be. It needed to mean something to us, and it does. Champion. I came up with Champion because he's my champion, and there's history behind that. And then we rebranded with one of the best in the industry, which is Prolific. There's a couple that are really good. We did that honestly before we even had money to do that. We just knew from the beginning we were not going to come out of the gates looking like a rookie. So, because it's a dog and pony show, definitely in service, and we knew what we wanted to look like, how we wanted to be perceived, and reputation was everything.
Yeah. And what have you guys done to market yourselves and kind of get out there and, separate yourself from the other, service companies in your market?
You want me to take this?
You may. Yeah, okay. She's in charge of marketing, so.
Okay.
So we're about, what would you say, a year and a half into this? Two, actually, 2 now. It's all trial and error. You have to test everything. how we really want to market ourselves is your local plumber, and we want to educate the customer. We're very involved in our community. We care about people. We put our money where our mouth is. And so it's important as a company that that our customers and our audience knows who we are and what we care about. So we put a lot of money into giving, but more importantly, we want our technicians to go into somebody's home. We want them to educate them and give them options, and make a friend. Like we tell our technicians, you need to make a friend, you need to educate them and let them decide what they want.
Yeah. All right. So it's really more of, you've been focused on the branding side of building the business and what does that brand represent?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, we just kind of believe that we're blessed to be a blessing.
Right.
Yeah. And Leslie, can you tell a little bit about your background too? Just kind of, how you kind of came into this. Obviously, your husband, wife, business together, but what's your kind of side of it? How you kind of got into it?
So my background is in oil and gas in Oklahoma. That's a part of our economy. When I married Brent, he was working for the gas company and I was in oil and gas. I was going back to get my master's. I was going to be a geologist, which is now it's just wild to think about. We started raising a family, and the Lord just really spoke to me about on my littlest, like, I'm not going back to work. Like I had accepted a job and I just couldn't go back to work. So we decided, hey, let's start a company, which we don't always make the best decisions, but
right.
We started a company while I had just had a brand new baby. And how old was Harley? Like 3?
I mean, she was 3 and we had a brand new baby, and it just became that mentality of, we got to do something different.
We're going to do this.
Because she had certain, ideas and goals in her head, and I was on board with them. And so together we made this decision, and then we've put everything into it since then, and we haven't looked back, and we're still pushing forward.
But I will say this, definitely oil and gas is a good old boy network, a little bit like plumbing. So,
Yeah.
It's a challenge, and it's a challenge that I like. And I really feel like there's a place for us, for women in this field. And it doesn't have to be in the trade, like it doesn't have to be physically in the manual labor. It can be, but we complement each other in how we're growing our business. I see things that he doesn't see. 70% of our customers are women. I'm the customer. So I feel like I can really see and anticipate certain triggers for our business and what we need to look like, how we need to act.
Right. Yeah. Probably a lot more plumber. You were the customer every time.
Stop that.
So can you mentioned when we talked a little bit about really, since you made the shift, the growth in revenue, and we don't have to get so specific, but we do have a lot of plumbers that listen to the podcast, and maybe just talk about what that has meant from a revenue and profitability, switching to service, and the difference in new construction in that.
Oh, well, the biggest difference right out of the gate, I can tell you, is there are no, in new construction, you're up fronting all of these materials, the labor, everything.
To the builders
you're essentially
and developers.
And then they'll, some of them, they'll pay you on time pretty quickly. Some of them just pay you when they want. It's not uncommon for these guys to get, depending on how many houses you're building, I mean, it's not uncommon to get $40, $50, $100, $200,000 into debt with these guys. And now you're tapped out. You can't get more material, can't go do this one. And with service, I mean, you're paid on the spot daily. There's daily revenue coming in.
Cash flow is king. And, most of these builders, especially around here, they're just waiting on draws from the bank. So they're living on those draws. They're just robbing Peter to pay Paul. It's not that they're bad guys.
Right.
they're doing what they can do. But as a business owner, it's just not a business model. Like, it's very hard for a little guy starting out, a plumber on his own, trying to be profitable in new construction. I think you can be profitable in new construction, but you better have a lot of working capital and some other revenue to maintain that.
Yeah. Right. So far it's a good episode. Is there anything you might want to share just about your business and what you're doing that I haven't asked you?
I think really our focus in 2021 is branding and recruiting. So something I'm really excited about personally is how we're giving back to the community. We never really talked about that before, but we're opening up a spot on our website. Our marketing guy is putting on our website, like, really our hearts, so we're believers, is how we give back. And that's something that brings me a lot of joy. We're partnering right now with a group that they provide a free Christian education to kids of incarcerated parents. Now we're partnering with a group who rehabilitate women to get them back into a sustained environment and get their kids back. And so that's something that really brings me a lot of joy, and I feel like is part of who we are as a company.
For sure.
So usually I end the podcast with 2 questions, and I usually ask for advice for someone, to give advice to someone just starting out as a plumber, as well as someone looking to start a plumbing business. What advice would you give? So what would you guys give as advice for that?
Starting out as a plumber, I would say this, I got to the point that I'm at because when I got into it thinking of the long game. I always thought of it as a career. I always knew I could do more with it than just go to work every day,
Yeah.
And I think a lot of guys miss that boat. They think it's just a job, and yeah, they can do the job, and somewhere along the way they get pretty good at it, but they never really put their whole heart into it. And so, those are the guys that end up jumping around from job to job to job and never really push themselves to be better. And that's what I'm trying to do as a leader within the company, is remind these guys that this is something that you can make a great living on and go home with your head held up really high and proud of what you're doing.
Oh, can I add to that? I want to say a lot of these guys that come into plumbing, they don't come into it thinking it's a blessing in their lives. A lot of these guys maybe never had anyone speaking any life into them, but they're worthy, they're valued, and what they can do is a major value to our society. It's huge. It's a skill, it's a trade. It's important to what the health of our society. I think that's what we always say.
Sure.
Yeah.
The posters.
So yeah. It's just not talked about in the schools, but you can make a great living that way.
Yeah, for sure.
And what would you give advice outside of don't get into new construction? I'm just kidding. What advice would you give to
Wait, no, if you're our competitor and you're listening, definitely
new construction is awesome. Do that all day. Starting a business, I would say one, like for me, it was really easy, when I was working for other people, seeing the mistakes and thinking I knew everything about what it took and how I would do it differently. I would say get a coach.
Get a mentor. Be teachable and get a mentor.
Find somebody who has been there, done that, walked that path, and can help you walk the right path and minimize the amount of mistakes that you make, and to focus on the things that are important and will help you grow without wasting the money and the time and the effort.
Get a mentor.
And go in the wrong direction. I'd say get a mentor.
Yeah.
Biggest decision we made and the best decision we made.
100%.
So we usually, since you are looking to recruit, if you want to shout out just the company name, where they can find you, website, phone number, just in case the plumber does hear it's looking for a job, maybe it'll help you out.
Champion Plumbing in Oklahoma City. Call thechamps.com.
I like that.
Phone number is 405-889-1318. You'll get a lovely lady named Andrea on the end of that
Andrea,
phone.
yeah.
She would be happy to help you out, get you set up, come in and talk to me, and we can go from there.
We'll give anyone a chance. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That was a great episode.